विश्वात्मिकां तदुत्तीर्णां हृदयं परमेशितुः परादिशक्तिरूपेण स्फुरन्तीं संविदं नुमः। Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. I will try to wind it up in 20 minutes. I hope I'm able to convey what I have come to convey. And that is simply how Saundarya Lahari and Panchastavi are two texts which are alive today in two different regions. One is very much a part of daily worship and daily sadhana in Kashmir, and the other is, although we can't say that it is only in South India, but until recent times it has been a part of southern region. So Acharya Shankar's Saundarya Lahari and Dharmacharya's Panchastavi, they are part of the stotra literature, hymnal compositions on divine feminine, and they bear significant resemblance. The resemblance on one hand leaves us with questions related to historicity, but on the other hand, this resemblance also proves the assimilative and merging nature of our traditions in this subcontinent and the free flow of cultures at all times. Scholars contest the very authorship of these two texts, like scholars believe that perhaps Acharya Shankar is not the author, and similarly Dharmacharya is also contested author of Panchastavi. I have written a certain section on the historicity of the text, these two texts, but I'm not going into that now. What I'm trying to talk about is the mystery of the Tripura Sundari that has been woven into these two texts in the devotional framework. Basically, these are texts on supreme love. As Narada says about bhakti, Satu Parama Prema Swarupa, the supreme love of goddess. The verses in these two hymns are actually verses full of love for the goddess, because it is this love, this ecstatic love for the divine, which devolves all diversity and paints every form into one color, that of the Shakti. Shankara's Saundarya Lahari is associated with Samya Mata, as is very clear to the sadhakas. But Dharmacharya's Panchastavi alludes to both the Kala Mata as well as the Samya Mata. At the same time, it doesn't clearly affiliate itself with any one form or any one Mata in particular. Dharmacharya's Panchastavi is a very much more complicated and a more, I would say, integrates more esotericism than Saundarya Lahari itself. In comparison to Saundarya Lahari, Panchastavi appears to be a much more complex text, and Saundarya Lahari appears to be a very simple hymnal composition which anyone can access. The texts, both the texts, do not take any philosophical stance, although it has been integrated into Trika, and Harbhat Shastriji has given a commentary on Panchastavi as a Trika text, and Lakshmidhar Shastri has commented on Saundarya Lahari and the Advait feminine perspective. The texts in themselves, originally, they do not take any philosophical stance. I emphasize that they are basically texts of divine love. And they assimilate all the esoteric principles of Sri Vidya worship while celebrating everything as Supreme Shakti. The invocation that I chanted in the beginning is Vishwatmika and Vishwottirana at the same time. So this is what the paper is focusing on, how the texts are, while talking about the Vishwatmika Swarup, also talk about the Vishwottirana, the immanent as well as the transcendent aspect of the feminine. I'll be quoting certain verses just to bring you the original. So, Dharmacharya in Panchastavi, for instance, says, Parmarthatopi tvam bhagavati eka sati nartaki iv bahuvidha sandrishyase. And Saundarya Lahari, you all perhaps know this, Manastvam vyomastvam marudasi marutsarathirasi Tvamapa tvam bhumi tvai parinatayam nahi param Tvameva swatmanam parinamaitum vishwa vapusha chidanandakaram har mahishi bhavena bibhrishe. These hymns are an example of how they use everything that is of value in creation, like the 5 elements, for instance, alluded to in the Saundarya Lahari. They use everything that is of value in creation as a metaphor for the goddess and integrate not only Tantric but mythological, metaphysical and mystical traditions as well. Thus they reveal Devi's immanence in the universe along with her transcendence. The transcendental aspect of the goddess, which is Guhya, which is esoteric, is alluded to through tantric sources. And in the tantras, especially Shakta tantras, as we know, the 3 aspects mentioned by our colleague here from Kashi, and Lalita Sahasranam also refers to the Yantric Swarupa, Mantric Swarupa and the Murti Swarupa. So the Yantra, Mantra and Mandala, these are the major dimensions in any Tantra worship. All of you are very Vidwan here and sadhakas, Vidwan sadhakas, I don't have to remind us here. So what I'm now, because I have to cut a lot, let me bring you back to the esoteric aspect, how it is woven. So mantrodhara, how the a sadhaka will never really reveal the bijas. So because these are Acharya Shankar and Dharmacharya, they are not only simple devotees who are poets and so they are able to create these sublime creations. They are actually realized siddhas. That's why they can access the gudha, the guhya, the esoteric aspects. However, they conceal it within the poems, within their poems. And the concealment can only be then revealed by the Siddha Gurus. That is like, those of you who have studied Panchastavi, you would see that the very first section, the very first invocation, which is Aindrasya eva sharasanasya dadhati madhye lalatam prabham shaklim kantim anushta goriva Shirasya atanvati sarvatah esha sau. I'll just stop it here because all the 3 bijas have been concealed in the Aindrasya eva, Shaklim and esha sau. And then he says, like, he reveals, like Timalsina ji in the morning was talking about how Acharya Abhinav Gupta says that the secret does not have to be fully revealed, but it should also not be completely concealed. It can just be revealed a little bit so that the seeker can have some glimpse of it and then seek further. So here the Panchastavi author, he reveals right in the first verse each syllable and says that they are, the power of each syllable works separately in the krama, without the krama, in akrama, and in no krama, vikrama. It will work in whichever way you use it. And he says that the grace of the goddess Vak, who is the source of poetry and creativity, it descends on the worshipper. It's very interesting to note that Kavi is a rishi in the Shastras. Kavi is creator. And the greatest grace which the goddess bestows is that of creativity and kavita. Kavita starts flowing from the mouth of the devotee. If he is, this is one of the phala, and the phala shruti says this. So the poet affirms that even if someone utters the syllables unknowingly or inappropriately, the mantras will quickly bear fruit and bestow siddhis on the sadhaka. Then there is this Hrimkar Bija revealed in the 18th verse. Then there is other Bijaksharas like Akshahrim and Nafahrim, because he refers to, let me read this one section where you will see, and then there is Imkar Bija hidden in the Bhagavatim address, when he addresses the goddess Tripura. And here it is important that the devotees who have commented later on the text, like Swami Lakshmanju Maharaj himself, they emphasize the significance of the Guru in using the bijas. And he says, for instance, that this Bhagavatim, the bija which is concealed here, this syllable is syllable of Mahatripura Sundari, and sadhaka can obtain the Vishwa Akarashana Shakti. But he says that the japa vidhi must be learned from the Guru Mukha only. So Mantrodhar process is given in the Panchastavi, and author claims that I am revealing the Mantrodhar vidhi from Guru Parampara only. Similarly, in Saundarya Lahari, you guys, all of you, I'm sure, because, I'm very happy that you are already very accomplished. I'm in the midst of very accomplished scholars and sadhakas. So, Shivaha Shakti Kamaha Kshitiratha Ravihi Shita Kirana Smaro Hamsaha Shakras Tadanucha Paramara Haryaha, and so on. ये वर्स है, इसमें पूरा हादी और कादी विद्या का नेक्स्ट वर्स में है, जो कि चलता है स्मरम योनिम लक्ष्मीम त्रितयम इदमाद्ये तव मनो. I'm not quoting the entire thing. So in these two verses, which is 32 and 33, Acharya Shankar has actually revealed the Pancha Dashakshari, and then also what are the syllables that will be added in the Kadi Vidya. I must add here that even Lakshmidhara has given an entire appendix that every mantra of Saundarya Lahari is a bija, every verse is a mantra with a bija and with a sadhana paddhati. So he gives as appendix. And from my Guru Parampara, my mantra Diksha is from Bihar Yoga Vidyalaya, Swami Satyananda Saraswati. He himself had initiated his disciples into Saundarya Lahari. So Swami Satyasangananda Saraswati was one of them. She has added the mandalas for each verse. of Saundarya Lahari. You can check that out in Saundarya Lahari, The Descent. Similarly, the Murti Swarupan, I mean, these two texts, you must read them. Panchastavi ka naya edition aap dekhenge. You will be overwhelmed with love for the goddess, because every verse is like a dhyana murti. So because now I cannot, because of the short of time, I can only indicate that both the poets are sometimes they describe the goddess in complete, like, from head to toe, like the anthropomorphic form. But sometimes they just name, they say a word and the entire image comes to the consciousness of the sadhaka, because these are with us from the Puranic and mythological sources. All of us know about Shiva Parvati narrative from the Shiva Puran. And like they would just say, "Oh Ma Parvati," and then whole image will come to you if she is doing worship in the forest, or if she is in Sringara, so on and so forth. For instance, the Rudra. And Dharmacharya especially uses different metaphors like color symbolism with the three gunas, the red and the white and the shama. तीनों रंग में गॉडेस को दिखाते हैं. तो इस तरह से एसोटेरिक एलिमेंट्स को पंचस्तवी में ज़्यादा इंटीग्रेट किया है. सौंदर्य लहरी में तो आचार्य शंकर 42nd वर्स से लेकर 89th वर्स तक हेड टू टो मदर का एक ही स्ट्रिंग में ही every verse in a string, like 42nd to 89, from head to toe he is describing the Murti. So I would just say that perhaps I felt this I would like to add, because this was an insight I would like to share, that I felt that that Acharya Shankar is using the Nyasa Paddhati here, which we use in the worship, where Upasaka's body is divinized. Acharya reverses it, and he is humanizing the divine body by giving us by giving us the most beautiful form that can ever be visualized in human form to the goddess. The eyes, even the नासाग्र पर जो मोती है वो वहाँ से लेकर और नख पैर के नख तक वो describe करते हैं. And then of course mother as कुंडलिनी. ठीक है, केवल टॉपिक्स पढ़ देती हूँ. कुंडलिनी महिम मूलाधारे कमपि मणिपूरे हुतवहम, एंड सुधाधारा सारे ही. सौंदर्य लहरी में एसेंट और डिसेंट दिखाई देता है. सेम आपको पंचस्तवी में ascent or descent, and then how the entire body is nourished by that amrit when she comes down from the Sahasrar back to the Mooladhar. I feel extremely blessed to be a part of this sacred space, and the seminar in itself is very, very sacred, and I deeply thank our friend Griratna ji, whom I met 7 years later. And I thank Indus University and the organizers here. Guru Bhyo Namaha. Thank you for having me.